Hey guys, this is Nicky Romero and we're here in the beautiful Vienna. It's very cold outside, but I'm super excited to play tonight. You are watching Brand Night TV.
Brand Night presents
Brand Night TV.
Brand Night, your entertainer.
Meine Damen und Herren, herzlich willkommen zur zweiten Ausgabe von Brand Night TV. Und neben mir sitzt Nicky Romero. Welcome to Vienna.
Thank you. Guten Abend.
Guten Abend. Ich habe mein kleines Smartphone hier dabei, damit ich auch nichts Wichtiges vergiss. Also bitte verzeiht mir, wenn ich da kurz einen Blick drauf werfe. Aber wir fangen einfach gleich an. The first time that I heard about Nicky Romero was probably 1.5 years ago with your bootleg of Tire Cruise Dynamite. Was that really the beginning of your work as Nicky Romero, and what happened after, and how did you manage to become that big in this pretty short period of time?
It was one of the first, it was one of the first edits I did. But before that, I had a track called Function 1. It was one of my first tracks I released. I think it was 2009, January. That was actually my first release ever. And I never really thought about, like where I wanted to go. I just produced the music I liked. And I guess that's also the reason why I grew this fast, because I just did whatever I liked and not what people wanted me to make. So I think it's important that you stick to your own signature sound and to the feeling, and that you express yourself music-wise as good and as realistic possible. That's the only way you can kind of develop your own signature and also get big real quick. That's what I believe.
Is that also the reason why you decided to run your own label, Protocol Records?
Sorry, my label was just because there's so much hassle in the scene and everybody wants to make money on artists and sign people. And I was like, I just want to have my own playground with artists I support, and my radio show linked to it. And I wanted to create a brand next to Nicky Romero. So this way I can support new artists, I can sign new artists, and I can release music, which is not mine, sorry. So it's kind of a way of, expressing yourself music-wise next to your own songs. So I think that's really important with a label. You can kind of you can kind of support people without, using your own name on it, but you can still boost them because it's your label. And I think just did that with a track called Pandora from Tony Romero, and he's a guy from Paris, and he just got played on BBC Radio 1 by Pitong, so I'm super happy. Yeah, and this way you can really support new artists, and it's actually like something that I'd never had when I started. When I started, there was no such thing as, of course, people had their labels, but they would not support the real young artists yet. And I think for me, this gives me the opportunity to help the real young producers who just produced their first few tracks, just to guide them to a way and to a professional world.
You just mentioned Tony Romero. The first thing that I heard about Tony Romero was because he remixed a friend of mine. His name is Falco Nistolik, and he remixed Falco's track Banger, and it was the first track that I heard from Tony Romero, and was just blowing my mind because it's really good. But besides Tony, how do you choose the artists that you feature on your label, and what are you paying attention to if you listen to promos and demos and stuff?
Well, there's so much demos coming in for the label. It's really, really insane. I think we just counted today more than 200 demos just for one day. The thing is that a lot of people, I'm really thankful for the fact that people send me their promos, but a lot of people who kind of, made their first song, they're already sending it to a label without, it's not even finished yet, or they just made 1 minute, so I can't really do something with that. But the thing for me, the criteria for signing a track is really important that it has its own sound, not like copying an existing sound, because it's not interesting if you're copying, I don't know, for example, Tiesto's sound or Avicii's sound. You gotta have your own signature, and if you do have your own signature, then it's something that you can expand, that you can kind of bring to the market. So that's what I tried to do, and I thought Tony Romero was one of the guys who had a fresh sound, a fresh way of dropping, and that's something that makes it easy for me to work with. And then I have tools, to kind of support him and bring him to a larger audience.
When it comes to signature sounds and being or making music that's unique in a certain way. Nowadays, people buy Facebook likes, people buy YouTube clicks. People buy everything just to pretend that people like what they're doing, but in fact, it's not.
Yeah.
So how do you prevent yourself from losing credibility, and how do you so to say, work on being still outstanding in this mass of fake that is basically is? You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I agree totally. I mean, I've been starting a topic for this a while ago on Twitter because I know there are people, also really big people, that you would not expect from. I will not call the names, but there is someone in the DJ Mag real high this year that bought more than, 100,000 Twitter followers and Facebook followers. And he's also from Holland, so I feel kind of bad, and there are a lot of artists who just buy their likes, and I think it's important to not, of course, like if you want to be invent and if you want to be on top of the market, you should not buy anything because it's not going to bring you anything in the long term. I mean, I'd rather build slowly and solid and that people know who you are from your quality music than buying 100,000 fake fans, because it's not going to work. I mean, I really think it's important that you stick to your own personality, your own sound, your signature, and that's the only way to get somewhere and to stay somewhere, because getting on top of the game is hard, but staying there is way harder.
You just said, that even big DJs and famous names try to make themselves even bigger through buying Twitter followers, Facebook likes, YouTube clicks, whatever it is. And based on that, I just recently, I think you noticed that too, was a couple of months ago when DJ Sneak started to have a beef with Steve Angelo, and just a couple of days ago with Deadmau5, and he said, the original house music has nothing to do with what you guys are doing. You never even touched a fucking record in your whole life. So what do you say if somebody from the underground, from the old school days in the 90s when house music started, if somebody like DJ Sneak, for example, comes to you and says, you know what, whatever you do is not real. It's not. You never even touched a record. You don't know how to build an audience. You don't know how to play 8 hours in a row with just 100 records. If they're telling you that you're fake and not real, with all these videos that came on with Steve Angelo, the kind of fake videos, you just play the CD and not mixing and stuff. Mm-hmm. What do you tell those people that say that this is what you're doing is not house music? That's not real.
The thing that, first of all, I don't think it's good to spread negativity on internet, or negative comments on DJs in public. I mean, if you have a problem with someone, then just approach him himself, and I would never spread that on the internet, on Twitter, first of all. And second of all, I don't think you can compare it. It's like comparing CDs with vinyl, Of course, a vinyl record would never be a CD record, and it's two different things. Same as with the records before house music, the real old school kind of stuff for DJ Sneak or Carl Cox, what they played when we never even produced a song yet. It's not comparable to the sound now. So it's comparing vinyl to CD or CD to MP3. It's a totally different world. So of course you can kind of try to compare the both worlds, but it's not gonna tell you anything. It doesn't mean that Sneak is better, or it doesn't mean that Steve Angelo is better. It's just two different things.
It's like Deadmau5 said, why would you be mad on me? I think he tweeted, why would you be mad on me if I would wash my clothes down the river, not using now if you would wash your clothes on the river and I would use a washing machine, why is that worse? Just, in the end of the day, it's the same result. So
yeah. Well, yeah, I agree, but still, I don't think that Deadmau5 should really defend himself. I mean, this guy has been a huge, had a huge impact on the scene and still has. He's one of the best producers on earth, if you ask me. So I don't think Sneak has anything to say. I don't even think that Sneak produced his own record either.
Yeah. Mentioning Deadmau5 and the big producer, nowadays. That's a thing that nobody expected 5 or 6 years ago. Young producers like Zed, for example, producing the new songs for Lady Gaga or Justin Bieber, or Afrojack producing stuff for Beyonce and so on. It seems like all this EDM thing is on its really peak level. So what do you think is coming next? Because for me, EDM is it's gone so big and so far that there's no room left for new stuff. So what do you think is coming next in the future after all these big features like David Guetta had almost every R&B superstar in the world? So how do people who had this success want to top all that?
I'm not sure if you want to top that. I'm not sure if you know it, but I produced the new one of the new tracks on Rihanna's album called Right Now, and so I produced one with Rihanna, and I don't think that it changes anything for us. I also think you should not think in EDM, because EDM, for me, there only exists M, like music. There is no such thing as EDM, or it's like that's putting things into boxes, and I would like to think above that. I don't want to think in boxes. So people saying EDM has gone commercial, for me that doesn't make sense, because EDM is just part of M, because it's still music. If it's either pop music or dance music, whatever. So the fact that just like electronic kind of DJs now produce for pop artists just means that the sound is hot now. So they just work with the sound that's actually working now. So it's not a kind of not a strange thing. Like,
I think that's the best answer I've ever got on that question.
Yeah, no, that's what I believe though.
You said you produced with Rihanna and The Endless and so on. If there's one person on earth you could work with, who would that be?
If I could bring back alive, it would be Michael Jackson.
And besides Michael Jackson, someone is still living?
That would be Coldplay, I think, because Coldplay just got such a unique sound. Or maybe even M83. I'm not sure if you heard of them, but they made a record called Midnight City. I really like that. Or maybe also Sweet Disposition, the kind of guy who called it. What's the band name again? Like everyone knows, like the indie rock kind of thing.
Oh, there was the track that X4 remix, right?
Sorry, Temper Traps.
Yeah, right.
There you go. Yeah. Also, there are a few amazing artists, especially like to the more indie rock. That's something I really like.
Cool. So to close the interview, what is Nicky Romero private like? What kind of music are you listening to in private to gather inspiration, or what do you do when you're not thinking about music? Everybody needs some time out of what he's working in. So what are you doing when you're just free and off and switch your mobile phone off and no Twitter, no nothing, just you?
It barely happens that I turn off everything, but if I would, you mean music-wise, what I listen to, or
music-wise, sports, arts, whatever are you interested in person?
I'm very much into sports. I have I train with a trainer, and I do really serious workouts now. So that's a big part of my life now. And I have motorbikes. I have 2 motorbikes. I drive motorbike, and that's like one of my biggest hobbies. So that's something I do a lot, and especially with friends, just taking the bike out to a city, drive, maybe to Germany or whatever, and just drive, because then you focus on only like the road and not on anything else. No cell phone. Like, it's a good way of relaxing and just switching off all your inputs and everything.
Cool. Is there anything coming up in the next month, in the near future, with your own label, your own records, anything that you want to promote?
Well, I'm super proud of the record of Tony Romero on Pandora on Protocol Recordings. It will release the 3rd or 4th of December, I think 3rd. And then I have, of course, Like Home just got released. There's a video clip coming up for this one and the radio edit. And of course, I have a track with Avicii, Stranger. I Could Be the One is like the second name, but it will be released finally in December, just before Christmas. And it was about time, because that record was out. Like, we finished it last year, so I'm super happy that releases. And then we have a track called Symphonica. Is more than ready. It's a solo track, and I have Legacy. It's also a track of me solo. And then I have a record with Example, and then I have one with David Guetta, and there's maybe one coming up with Zed again. And there's so much stuff.
Cool.
Yeah.
So looking forward to hear from you in the near future. Yeah. And good luck at Vuk tonight. Thank you for being here.
Brand Night presents
Brand Night TV.
Brand Night, your entertainment.